there is a curious paradox, which is, to love is unconditional, but to be loved is conditional. By the time one has crossed the 30s or 40s, they have seen enough of life to know that the fairy tales of youth were, at best, charming illusion. One begins to understand that love does not appear as a reward for virtue, nor is it guaranteed to remain, simply because you have been loyal, patient, or deserving. Some have poured themselves, drop by drop, into the vessel of another's life, only to watch it leak away through fingers that once clung to them. Others still dwell beneath the same roof with their chosen companion, yet feel as though they have become a stranger at their own table. And there are those who have wandered from heart to heart, thinking that the next embrace, the next yes, would finally fill the hollow within, only to find the emptiness echo back at them. You begin to wonder why something as natural as love has become such a labyrinth of conditions, unspoken bargains, and quiet disappointments. You sense that somewhere, beneath all the poetry and promises, there is a truth you have been avoiding. For love, as it is sold to us, is not love at all, but something dressed in its garment. And here, perhaps, lies the seed of our quiet discontent. We have confused the appearance of love with love itself, the structure that holds it with the living thing it was meant to carry. From our earliest breath, the world whispered its bargain into our ears. Love is something to be earned. Behave as you are told, and you will be cherished. Fulfill the needs of another, and you will be kept. Offer beauty, strength, usefulness, devotion, and the reward will be love. But this is not love. It is a transaction masquerading as tenderness. It is the polite exchange of commodities between two people who have been taught to call their bargain romance. You see, a bargain can hold people together, but it cannot nourish them. Like two merchants bound by contract, they remain so long as the terms are met. And when they are not, they part. No matter how many years have passed, no matter how deeply your lives have entwined, the invisible ledger will one day be brought to the table and the sums will be counted. Many men and women wake in the middle years of life to the cold recognition that what they once believed was love was only an arrangement. It might have been cloaked in vows before God, adorned with flowers, or sealed with the trembling promises of youth, but the heart of it was a simple pact. I will give you what you desire if you will give me what I desire. And when the giving stops, whether through weariness, age, illness, or simple change, the warmth fades. The eyes that once sparkled at your arrival now glance past you as if you had become little more than a shadow in the room. We were never told as children that such love is a performance and that performances end. When you mistake the bargain for love itself, you spend your years in quiet exhaustion. You give your time, your loyalty, your devotion, believing this will secure the thing your soul longs for. But what you have secured is not love, only the continuance of an arrangement. And so it happens that many, after years of faithful giving, find themselves bewildered when the warmth fades. Not because they cease to care, but because life has moved, as all things do. Nothing stands still. Even stone wears away. Even plastic warps with time. The man or woman you first knew has changed, just as you have, and the bond built upon fixed terms begins to strain under the weight of impermanence. And there is another truth, more difficult to swallow. When the demands of the bargain are no longer met, the mask will fall. In the absence of what they sought from you, be it comfort, affirmation, or security, some will show you who they truly are. The tenderness you thought was theirs by nature may vanish, revealing not cruelty perhaps, but a hollowness where love was never rooted. You may have felt it, the gaze that no longer lingers, the laughter replaced by a cold and watchful silence. The shift is so quiet, you can almost convince yourself it isn't there. But in that stillness you see it. You were cherished not for your being, but for the service you rendered. And when such a union falters, it does not simply end. It unravels something inside you. It leaves you staring at the ruins, asking whether you were ever truly loved or only ever necessary. Love is not a bargain, nor is it a chain. It is not I will if you will, nor the silent counting of who has given more. Such things belong to the marketplace, not to the heart. True love is a freedom, the liberty to give without ledger or demand. It is to be fully present with another, not to bind them, but to care for them, simply because the caring itself is joy. It is a gift given without the shadow of a contract, without the fear that it must be returned in equal measure. But here lies the paradox. Such love cannot be given by one who is starving for it. The heart that is desperate to be loved back will always, in some hidden way, attach strings to its giving. It will watch, it will measure, it will wait for the return. And when it does not come, bitterness will grow like ivy through the soul. You cannot love freely until you have ceased to beg for love. And you cannot cease to beg until you have found within yourself a source that does not run dry. That source is not in another's eyes, nor in their approval. It is in the quiet knowing that you are already the child of the very life that breathed you into being. Call it God, call it the eternal, call it the nameless mystery. It has loved you into existence before you could earn or deserve a thing. Look at the sun. Even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, "You owe me." Look what happens with a love like that. It lights the whole sky. To know this is to stand unshaken whether others love you or turn away. Then, and only then, can you give love as the sun gives light, not to be thanked, not to be owed, but because it cannot help itself. To love is your freedom. No one can take it from you. It is the act of your own being, the overflow of the life that moves through you. You may give it to one, to many, or to the whole world, but it remains yours to give, to be loved. Now that is another matter that is never in your keeping. You cannot command it, purchase it, or reason it into being. Love offered to you is a gift of its own accord, arriving when it will, leaving when it must. It is as the wind that brushes your cheek. You may open your arms to it, but you cannot hold it there forever. If love is given to you, receive it with gratitude. Drink of it while it flows, but never clutch at it, as though it were the last drop in the world. For the moment you try to drag it from another's hands, it ceases to be love and becomes something else, obligation, pity, or bondage. And remember this, you are already loved, not by the fickle tides of human affection, but by the source from which you came. It breathed you into life without condition, without demand. To see this is to know you are never wholly bereft. If you wish for love from others, it must begin here in loving yourself, not in the shallow sense of indulgence, but in the deep sense of accepting your own being without reserve. For a heart at peace with itself no longer begs, it invites, and when two such hearts meet, their love is not a trade, but a meeting of rivers, each full from its own spring. When two people who have learned to dwell at peace within themselves come together, it is not to be filled, for their cups are already full. They do not arrive at each other's door as beggars, bowls outstretched. They come as givers, carrying abundance that spills over the rim. In such a union, there is no bargaining. No one is keeping score, no quiet dread of who owes whom. Love is not given to earn, nor withheld to punish. It moves as naturally as breath, as the tide that rises and falls without being told. Here, the joy is not in taking, but in sharing. There is no hunger in the eyes, only light. One gives not because the other demands it, but because giving is the most natural expression of their being. And so both are fed, not by the draining of one into the other, but by the overflow of each. This is the only love that does not rot into resentment. For where there is no emptiness to be filled, there is no fear of losing. When two full hearts meet, they are free to let each other be, to grow, to change, to wander and return, without the grasping that turns love into a cage. And yet, such a meeting is rare, for most search the world to find another who will complete them, not knowing they were never half a person to begin with. Only when you drink deeply from your own well will you find another who drinks from theirs. And together you will not merely survive, you will overflow. The world you meet each day is not a stranger. It is yourself in another form. You cannot draw from a well what is not in it, nor can you meet in others what you have not yet met. In your own heart, if you carry a hollowness within, you will find yourself surrounded by those who take, not because the world conspires against you, but because nature fills a vacuum. Those who have nothing will seek from you what you have not given to yourself, and you will mistake their hunger for love. If, on the other hand, you move through life with a fullness of being, you will meet those who also carry an abundance. They will not clutch at you or drain you, for they are not living on scraps. Instead, you will find an ease in their company, a recognition as though you had always known them. This is not a mystical trick, nor some hidden cosmic law, but a simple truth of human meeting. The depth to which you have faced yourself becomes the depth to which you can meet another. Most quarrels in love are not between two people, but between the unexamined shadows each has brought along. So, before you go searching for kindness, tenderness, or devotion in the eyes of another, turn inward and meet your own gaze, not to condemn yourself, nor to tally your flaws, but to make the acquaintance of the stranger you have long carried in silence. For it is this hidden self who extends the invitation to others, this unseen presence, who will decide whether the love you meet will be a feast to your soul or the slow unraveling of it. When this truth takes root in you, do not hoard it. Place it gently in the hands of your children, for they are stepping into the same illusion that once ensnared you. Teach them that love is not the trembling romance of songs, nor the solemn bargain sealed before altar and law, It is the willingness to give without the shadow of a demand, to care without the constant fear of loss. If they do not learn this, they will build their homes upon sand and watch them crumble. But if they do, they will stand on rock, and love will not be a cage, but a sky. The question is not, how can I find someone to love me? But the question is, how can I become someone who overflows? For when love is no longer a plea but a gift, when joy is no longer chained to another's approval, you will see that to love and be loved is not something to chase. It is the way you already are. You are not a half searching for the other half. You are whole. And from that wholeness, love flows, finding those who recognize it instantly. Then love ceases to be a hunt, or a bargain, or a desperate keeping. It becomes the quiet, steady light of the sun, needing nothing in return, yet warming the whole sky.